You see, they have made the world into a big illusion in order to be able to play that whole game. And so one of these big illusions, the biggest actually, is separation. And one of the means to live in this separation is exchange. I can only perceive an individual by using the five senses.
Yes.
If I would have a sensorical perception that penetrates into source, I'm not able to perceive anymore, let's say, only through five senses. So hence the understanding is made that everything is the same, everything is one. It just expresses itself in different forms.
Welcome to the Voices of the One Mind, where the elixir of wisdom flows freely. Join us as we dive into the profound thoughts of extraordinary human beings who embody wisdom, offering insights that serve as a bridge to awakening. Unshackling minds from the chains of suffering, our conversations pave the way for enhanced health, enriched lives, and exponential spiritual growth. Get ready to sip on the nectar of the One Mind with us.
No exchange. Imagine a world where no monetary exchange is happening, where there is no greed, where people are living in harmony. Can you? In today's episode of Voices of the One Mind, we are going to elaborate with our guest Bear and share his perspective on no exchange and how can we envision, or how he envisioned, a world with no exchange. Welcome, Bear. Thank you for being with us here and thank you for sharing your perspective. I was just browsing on the One Mind website and I saw there is mention no exchange. And my first thought was, can be there a world? Do you envision a world where no exchange is happening, where people are able to offer unconditionally without underlaying the paradigm of exchange?
Thank you very much for having me in another episode of the Voices of the One Mind. Yeah, it's a very interesting topic, isn't it? It's a very interesting topic, and I always like to answer the question first very fastly, and the fast answer, the blunt answer is yes, absolutely. There is the possibility of a world of humans living amongst each other and together in a system that is not based on any exchange. And what I want to make very clear is when I say no exchange doesn't just mean no money. No money in the form that we know it, whether it's gold or whether it's silver or whether it's modern digital currencies. When I say no exchange, I mean no exchange. I mean an economy of contributing and giving. There is something, there are projects out there, they're promoting the term gift economy, which goes definitely in that direction. The gift economy is actually to gift something to someone, something that in the most easy way explained, that you don't need and someone else has the need of something. You just either gift it or let him or her use it. So understand the whole picture, we need to understand the nature of existence, the nature of humanity. And a dear friend of mine that is involved also in the One Mind, a copywriter, he made the following statement, which I found very great. Exchange is a transaction between two separate beings.
Beautiful.
So what does that mean? We are promoting the philosophy of non-duality. We are promoting the philosophy of the direct path at the one mind. And with all the sages and voices that are connected to the one mind organization, joining and that one thread, the direct path. And from a perspective of the direct path, exchange is something literally ridiculous. I keep on mentioning this phrase from the yogic terms, Brahman, the oversoul, is expressing itself in Atman, the soul aggregate, and is playing hide and seek with it. Now, imagine with the term exchange is a transaction of two separate beings. So, if humans don't perceive themselves as one being, they start to live in the illusion of separation, which is a very, very big illusion. The greatest illusion, actually, of humanity. And
separation from one individual to another, right?
Exactly. Because how do I perceive an individual? I can only perceive an individual by using the five senses.
Yes.
If I would have a sensorical perception that penetrates into source, I'm not able to perceive anymore, let's say, only through five senses. So hence the understanding is made that everything is the same, everything is one. It just expresses itself in different forms.
Yes.
And so whatever we have going on the world, fightings, war, exchange, it's playing literally, it's playing a game with itself. A complete illusion. It's like children sitting in a sandbox who, yet in their playfulness, perceive in this sandbox the whole world and how important it is to do this and that. And at the end of the day, it's just a sandbox. The world, the concept that humans have agreed amongst each other to live in that way is nothing else than this sandbox. You see, they have made the world into a big illusion in order to be able to play that whole game. And so one of these big illusions, the biggest actually, is separation. And one of the means to live in this separation is exchange. If you break down nature at its core, you will see that there is never an exchange in nature. Never. You could now say, well, marine biologists could tell me, well, but you have the shark, for example, that is swimming with some little fish, and the little fish are able to eat off his skin, and that feeds the skin, and in the same way, the shark is cleaned. It's one example there. But that's not an exchange in the classical thing. That's natural logic. Mm-hmm. You see, mm-hmm. That's natural logic, because the shark doesn't say, "Hey, if you don't clean me, I don't feed you." Mm-hmm. You see the difference. Yeah, that's symbiosis. Symbiosis is natural intelligence. The humans, though, say, if you don't give me this, I don't give you that. And so
everything conditional.
It's conditional, and it comes from an ego. With this separation coming into human consciousness, humanity needed practically, literally, not needed, but automatically invented very strange means to live amongst each other. And humanity invented the mean of exchange. Whether people exchanged shells or exchanged goods, beads against a tomahawk, yeah, or a bead and a tomahawk, against fur. The European settlers exchanged tomahawks and European beads against furs that the Native American tribes would hunt, and other things. And that evolved, and then silver and gold was exchanged against goods. And out of silver, money was made, paper with a number on it. They say for security reasons that you don't need to carry around your gold, and the rest is history. We know all that. I do not see, and it's something that I don't want to go in this topic of whether through money and what happens nowadays through digital money, people are more controllable and so ever. This for me is still all part of the sandbox. It's just one superficial layer of the sandbox, you know. For me, people have to come to the understanding that the whole thing is a sandbox no matter what you do. You can call it however you want. You can try to make betterment in monetary system. This is still all part of the play in the sandbox. If we don't get back to the roots of when this no exchange or exchange was not even part of a mental, cognitive, human perception. It was not there. It was not there. Why? Because there was no lack, and hence also no greed. So if I feel a lack of something, I don't have enough of something, then I start to make conditions. Either I say I'm greedy, I don't give and I don't share, or I start to make conditions on my sharing. Mm-hmm. I say, okay, you can have this, but you need to give me this in exchange. And now people would question, well, okay, if I sell my car, if I lend out my car, or if I sell my car, I need to have some money. Because I need money to pay my rent to my landlord. Well, there's a very simple answer. That whole chain obviously is obsolete. The whole chain is obsolete. You see, you taking money for somebody that you gave your car, and with this money you're paying your rent, and the guy from the rent is paying the bricklayer, and the bricklayer is paying the bank. You see, this is a vicious circle all over. And this is what humanity truly needs to be broken. But in order to break such a thing, there needs to be a deep realization. And this deep realization needs to be that lack in the first place is an illusion. You see?
And in practical terms, what are the stages that we as we need to start going in order to create this world with no exchange, step by step or through little steps? I understand on a different level what you say, that it needs to be a realization on the masses life, right? Not just coming from one or two people, because that will not be enough in order to see a change.
Well, the first absolute step to it, in pure practical terms, is people need to stop consuming things they don't need for life. 95%. I will repeat it again. 95% of anything that is consumed, humans don't need to live on this planet. Okay, I will repeat again the number, 95%. It's not 10%, not 20, not 30. 95% what people buy, they don't need for life. You see? Mm-hmm. I can go into a household of a human being and can throw out 95%, and including the food of the fridge. I can throw out 95% of the food that is in the fridge, 95% of the clothes, and so on and so on, 95% of a value of a car. And you will realize that you can
live without certainty.
Very normally live, and all the rest is just an illusion of I want to have, I must have. And this is one step. Another step is people need to live in smaller communities together again, where they know each other, not anonymously living in cities where you don't even know your neighbor, but living in smaller communities together, where these smaller communities together create a value of what they do for them. There are fantastic examples. There is a big community in Siberia with more than 5,000 people who is doing it exactly that way. It's a community that is not buying, the whole 5,000 people are not buying anything from outside.
Wow.
Nothing.
So there is a movement.
And that's a very big community. I'm not talking about 30 people who live in a community somewhere, let's say in Portugal or in Mexico or in Costa Rica. I mean, we are talking about communities the size of 3-4 small villages.
Yeah.
They are building their houses with the wood out of the forest. They are insulating their houses with the moss and so on. And if you look at these communities, they are not living like backwards people in a cave. Absolutely, they are making fantastic artworks with what nature gives them. You see, and so this is the second thing: living in communities, growing your own food, connecting with then other communities, and then again, not exchanging, but offering, giving extra food that you need, varieties that you plant and they don't have,
and vice versa.
And so in a very simple explanation, if we cut out the middleman meaning the middleman would be the monetary exchange, the middleman would be banks, the middleman would be governmental organizations who control all this exchange, we would not need any exchange. Now I'm talking from a practical perspective.
Absolutely.
Because the human perspective to have this realization must come first.
Yes,
right?
Definitely.
Must come first. Just the practical perspective. The practical perspective will be, imagine from one second to the other, no exchange exists anymore, no money exists anymore, nothing, and everyone continues doing what the person is doing.
Probably in this sense, no modern job, right? You don't need to go and work.
Even if we leave the world as it is, status quo now, and from one second to the other you get rid of all the money and of all idea of exchange. And everyone has had the realization. That's why the realization is important, because many people will argue now and say, yeah, of course, but half of the population would not go to work anymore, would just stay at home and sleep.
No.
But let's even that be the fact.
Okay.
That's why I say the realization must come first. But if the carpenter still gets up at 8 o'clock in the morning, let's say even under the aspect one would not reduce consumption, and we go on like this, which is not good, but I'm saying the carpenter would get at 8 o'clock up in the morning, would go to his workshop, would produce his chairs and tables and everything. The woods, the wood mill would deliver him the wood that he needs. The worker of the wood mill would give 8 hours or 6 hours work energy per day to make this happen. The saw producer for the wood mill would give the saw for the wood mill. We have a cycle of logic which doesn't need to have any exchange. You see? Now imagine we cut down on 50, 60, 70%, as I said, up to 95% of consumption.
You don't need to produce that much.
The carpenter doesn't need to work 8 hours anymore per day. The wood mill doesn't need to deliver so and so thousands of meters of wood every day to the industry. Everything would be really reduced. Imagine just if we cut out this throwaway thing that we have in the last 30, 40 years. I mean, look back to the grandparents. They just sanded their chair and painted it over new again. Why? Because the chair was made of a good wood and you could use it for 200 years. And every generation would
benefit from it.
Exactly, and every generation would just paint over the chair in the color they liked. You see, nowadays we throw away the chair and buy something new, and after half a year we buy something new, and that keeps all that bubble of exchange, of the need of exchange, of the cognitive need of exchange always going. Now, people will argue, but well, okay, it's all nice what you say, but this is very unrealistic. But here again, I say, it always starts with the human being, the single human being. Don't wait until something will
externally
happen or save you. So if you at home cut down if you become minimalist in consumption, and many others do the same thing.
Or be an example for
inspire others. Be an example. Get out the hashtag no consumption. Get out the hashtag no exchange. You see, live that. And then one will realize that we can live with much less, but not only but in the same quality. No, in a much better quality of life, because we don't stress ourselves off running behind some illusionary what people call the hamster wheel. But the hamster wheel, they don't understand that they are the wheel, they are the hamster. The hamster wheel is the best example because they created the hamster wheel themselves, the wheel, and then they put themselves, and who actually gives energy? Who makes the hamster wheel turn? It's not the corporation I'm employed in, right? It's not some evil system. I run the hamster wheel. Absolutely. So I spin the hamster wheel and not something in the outside. See? And hence, reduce consumption radically. Go and exchange. Use the word exchange. Exchange knowledge with friends, family, tribes. How one can grow. There are community gardens and stuff like this. However, most of them still work on the idea of exchange, and where the idea of exchange comes from the idea I don't have enough if I share for free. Without asking anything in exchange. And that is a deep-sitting trauma in people that needs to be overcome.
Thank you for sharing this beautiful example and perspective. So, why is there so much greediness in the first place in the world?
Greed comes from an idea of lack.
Mm-hmm.
See, what is greed? Greed is I'm not ready to share or give something or want more for me, which I need, and I would say that most of the people who are very greedy and accumulate so much money around them, for example, that they could literally buy thousands of houses, for example, are not even aware about the fact that they have so much more than they need. So it's a very vicious thing, greed. And the greed comes from a very deep traumatic experience these soul aggregates are carrying on them. See? There are people who literally own everything that you can own materially, including a lot of money. And the moment their money gets down by 5% because the stock exchange is doing something, they have completely sleepless nights and cannot, but still they would have $10 billion or euros on their bank account, but they lost, let's say, 1 million out of 10 billion, and that makes them sleepless nights. So there is no rational understanding of such a thing. So it must be irrational. It comes from deep traumatic experiences. What is all that play about accumulating stuff around you that is so much more than you? And and your family and whatever could ever use under normal perspective in life. Why people need to have a super yacht that is worth the whole money, and I mean what I say, that you could feed all the people who don't have enough food of Africa for one entire year. All the people.
Correct.
And more, maybe more than 1 year. So why is that even coming? It is because this soul aggregate is extremely traumatized. And in a position that, and as I say, this whole thing runs very subliminally, that it's not part of the consciousness. These beings are not conscious about that. These beings are just conscious of ever more getting ever more. And I don't even want to put this into a relationship to say, well, I have ever more, and others, and there are tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of people who have nothing. I don't even want to put that. Just keep it. Just keep what is the motivation of that person. You say that. I'm not even saying these people could do so much more, because every soul has its blueprint and has its certain things to go through. So also the soul in Africa that is suffering is on this path. Yeah, that doesn't mean that everyone who is in a fortunate position must actually be of service and of assistance and of help to the people who are not that fortunate, because again, everything is one. Never forget that. And if you forget that, it creates a lot of karma. And
karma still in these realms.
Karma is everywhere. Mm-hmm. Karma is created everywhere. There is no realm that karma is not created. There is no action in life that would say that there is one field that is free of karma. Karma is created all the time. And
so this deep, you mentioned that this greediness can come from a deep trauma.
Let me quickly say one sentence to what I just said before. In a society where so many humans, it's not a few thousands, a few 10,000, it's millions of people in the world who live a life in deep suffering, and suffering is a topic by itself. I'm not talking about the mental cognitive suffering. I'm talking about physical suffering, in terms of not having water to drink, in terms of not having
the
basics, exactly, not having a warm bed or even having a bed. In such a society, to be rich is the greatest shame. And when I mean rich, I mean these people who have billions, who with one click on their computer keyboard could help the entire suffering planet with one click of the keyboard. And I mean the entire planet, everyone. They just choose not to do. And they have their own reasons. And I'm not saying these are reasons of conspiracy, because I'm not interested in all of that. The reason is always on a soul level. See? It's always the blueprint. So I'm not judging what is the outcome. I'm trying to see how deep is that impact on that soul, in order that soul to have that soul reacting like this, creating so much karma. And that this is a vicious circle, of course, you see. Greed creates karma, absolutely. And this karma, as everything is one, and here is the interesting point, is not, I shared this in another talk, is not like soul aggregate versus the soul, right? Is not imprinted onto one soul that incarnates so and so many times, and then this soul, the karma it creates in this earth walk is his karma. You know, when people say this sentence, anyway, do what you want, it's your karma. You know, I say stop. It's not your karma. Your doesn't exist.
It's collective.
If you want to call it collective, it's the karma of, so to speak, the one mind, you see, and or this karmic imprint is imprint on the one on the level of the absolute reality of the one mind, and that means everything in existence and non-existence, everything
has this imprint.
Is bound to such an imprint in one way or the other. So there is no such thing as your karma. Deal with it. You see. So this is an illusion. So the more people we can motivate to not create karma,
the better it is
for everything and for all of them. And hence where the world is heading into a way where you, if you look into social media, people are praised who have a lot of money. There is all these rankings, who has the biggest yacht, the biggest car, and wow, look at these cool guys and look at this. And yeah, it's a consciousness that is rather low, not to say very low, you know.
You just mentioned about social media, and I want to share that I see all over social media that there are nowadays a lot of coaches that promote financial freedom, that promote words like abundance, modern digital monnets like cryptocurrency and so on. Many can be mentioned there. What's your take on this?
Well, again, the short answer, a great illusion. A great illusion right there. And yeah, the more extended answer would be, what is abundant and who is abundant? So when people talk about abundance, that's how I perceive it. Most of them have the idea of having enough money, having enough goods in order, and having this coming in constantly in order to live a life that is not stressful. Here again would be immediately the question, who makes the stress and where is the stress coming from? Who is the hamster and who is the wheel? Or maybe they're the same. And what is abundance? What truly is abundance? You know, is abundance financial freedom? You see, even the word freedom hurts me to speak in the same context that finances. There is something that goes through my system which says these two words is like saying warm snow, you know, or something. It just doesn't match energetically, these two words. Because through finances you can never achieve freedom. It's I don't know, even the word illusion would not do it anymore. It's just I can feel it in my body. If I say the word financial freedom, it's like two things that want to fight each other. And we see a lot, as you say, coaches out there who promote abundance and financial freedom, especially in the New Age movement. This is widely spread. Get you financial freedom. There is platforms out there who, again, in the New Age movement, promoting cryptocurrency as the big freedom, because the understanding, the integration was not there to see behind the veil, you see? It's very illusionary, everything. It's very illusionary. On a practical level, all these people were promoting now over so many years, for example, talking about cryptocurrency, that cryptocurrency will be the currency of the people. It's controlled by the people and no one else can control it. From the very first day when I heard that, I said to everyone, guys, this is the greatest illusion you can ever have. It's a great illusion. It's a nice idea, but a great illusion. There are organizations in this world and people in this world, they take a cryptocurrency in 1 second, put it up and turn it around, and all your illusion is gone. But from their perspective, from their little sandbox dreamland, they want to believe in a cryptocurrency abundance, freedom controlled by people, and people will argue now and say, yeah, but many people have become very rich. Yes, that is true. And what are they doing with their riches? You see, is my question.
Yeah.
And but still, if many people have become very rich through cryptocurrency, that doesn't mean that the organizations who are controlling the cryptocurrencies are in the best interest of people. So it's just a great illusion, and it's a great bubble of this new age bubble in general, because that new age movement is the new religion, and that's so full of bubbles and belief systems. And this abundance is one that I have the right to have abundance. I live abundance, and I wake up in the morning and I do so and so many affirmations, and I write down all these numbers, and eventually I will get abundance, And if these people are allowed to have the realization, they will have a great realization. If not, not.
Allowed by who?
Allowed by their soulic blueprint. It's all about what a human being is choosing to believe in, and unfortunately or fortunately, without judgment, Maya, the illusion, is there in order to be penetrated through. And this everlasting play of life. And if people choose to not penetrate through Maya, but obey Maya and worship Maya and look at Maya. And I said from the very first day when I heard about cryptocurrency and when this whole thing came up, it's probably one of the biggest not Mayan, because Mayan would be the Mayas in Mexico, Maya illusions, Mayas that are there. A very thick veil. And what I see is, interestingly, that slowly, more and more people come to that realization, and more truth about cryptocurrency, we are staying with cryptocurrency, is unveiled now. Who is behind, who controls, who is able to control big corporations, big banks going in there, and so on and so on. Was just a little example of the question abundance, and you mentioned cryptocurrency. That's why the financial freedom, exactly.
That could come through different sources.
Exactly.
Them being also this, yeah.
Exactly. The question is that I always want to ask people, okay, now you have your financial freedom. Let's say somebody sends you €1 million on your bank account, and then what? What are you doing? You're going to buy a house in Bali or on the beach and buying.
Or how do you feel?
Or exactly. And what did you gain? What did you gain? What did you gain? You see? Then people would answer, well, I gained liberty. I gained this freedom that I can wake up when I want. I can go to my yoga class when I want. I can lay on the beach when I want. And then you know that the people are not conscious. Why? Because what is consciousness? I said it in another episode. The consciousness is the fact that the being realizes its own existence, fully realizing its own existence. And people who would answer such, okay, then I can decide over my life, and have not realized their full existence. They are bound to practical earthly doings and dwell then in a fake happiness, in all this emotional bubble. Oh wow, I live so good and I have such a good life, and
so pretty limitative.
Yeah, it is a limited way of perceiving the possibilities of the earth walk. And again, I say everything without judgment, because every soul, and that's the big thing we have to understand, every expression of the one mind, that's why the one mind is so diverse, because nothing is by coincidence. Everything literally wants to be expressed. Every last little thing wants to be expressed in some way, and hence we have all this diversity. But the expression is only, that's the way how I see it, let's make a big chaos, that the chaos is so crazy, and let's see that if from that crazy chaos we can penetrate through that and find the point of source in there. See? And find the way, what people say, we come home, we go back, this kind of metaphorics.
Through nature,
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing your wisdom, your perspective about this, and I hope that we all start reflecting, or at least inspire with little changes that could change the environment we are now living in. And also change, of course, is coming from within.
Absolutely.
Appreciate, and I hope you enjoy another episode of the Voices of the One Mind here with Bear. Thank you, Bear.
Mostly welcome.
Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey with another voice of the One Mind. We thank you for your support, and to ensure that you never miss a drop of this wisdom nectar, click subscribe and stay connected with us on the onemind.org. Until next time, may your path be illuminated with profound insights and growth.